Gang. Blouses.
Okay, we got some very exciting news. I want to go over some rule changes that are being implemented this year. First and foremost, the most exciting one for me, in general, is the East versus West format coming back in the All-Star game. I love that. I think it's a great idea. I think the reason that they took it away the first time was because the West was so dominant, but I think we're seeing a little bit more parity in the league to where this can be a little bit more evenly matched and more fun if we did the separate conference kind of thing rather than drafting a team and doing all of that. Now, that is for an NBA fan, I think it's the most exciting thing this year. Obviously, there's a lot more to be excited about this year. A lot of new young talent, a lot of changes going on in the league, in front offices and coaches, and new teams on the rise, and some teams that were once dynasties now on the downward slope. So a lot of changes that are going to be happening. So we're looking forward to that. With all those changes that I was mentioning as well, there are rule changes on top of that are very important to the integrity of the game that are going to be implemented this year. And we'll get into that in just a second. But here's the first rule change that I want to get into, the coaches challenge. So coaches challenge, previously what it was one and done. No matter what, even if you won it, you didn't get another one. So I think that takes away a lot of the stress and the pressure of a potential, playoff situation where you're waiting to hold on to that challenge to, maybe save yourself at the end of a one possession game where it's an out of bounds call or block versus foul or a block charge. A lot of those things are held on to until, maybe it gets too late. There's some times where coaches will pocket a challenge too and just, maybe they don't see enough video evidence to get an overturn call. But here's what's going to go on this year with the challenges. Each team will be rewarded a second challenge if its first challenge is successful. So if you win the challenge, you get another one, but you still get charged for the timeout. It's not like football where I think you still retain the timeout if you get the challenge right in football, but neither here nor there. Yeah, that's a game flow thing. We're still trying to, I guess keep the games moving along. That's a whole thing now with the new social media era of fans. Got to be quick, got to be fast. Look what happened with baseball. We just we implemented rules for baseball that were voted on and decided by people who didn't watch it in the fucking first place. So whatever, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, so that's it. I think it rewards. It's rewarding you, and it creates a little bit less stress of, do I hold on to this? Do I throw it now? So that's good. Coach's challenge rule. Now, here's what you get to say to your buddies that don't like basketball because of the flopping. That's changed now, and you have no leg to stand on. You can tell them that. You can also tell them that they're fucking dumb for complaining about it in the first place, because if I'm playing baseball and I know that there's one out, and if I fall down in the outfield, that we get immediately going, we get to go up to bat after that, yeah, I'm going to do that. Of course. If I get more possessions on offense, that's more likelihood of me winning the game. That's how it goes. That's how numbers work. If you have the ball for more times, you can shoot the ball more times, and you can get more points. I know it's a crazy concept to think about to somebody who has never played basketball before, but here's what I'll tell you. Adam Silver is the best commissioner in sports, hands down. I don't think that there's a question about it. There's no secret that I love what he does. I love what he's done for the NBA. He inherited a mess from David Stern. We all know what he's famous for. I can give you the bullet points, but that's for another episode. Still think he did an okay job with what it was, but it was a lot. So Adam Silver comes in and makes some changes. Most notably, the one that happened recently was the jumping into a defender, initiating contact as an offensive player to get to the foul line, or what I like to call the Paul Pierce rule. So essentially, a pump fake, and you lean in to draw the contact on a defender that's closing out. So James Harden, Dwayne Wade, Paul Pierce, those guys, probably did it the most. Jamal Crawford, again, a lot of those guys did that a ton. So that being implemented a few seasons ago, I think it was, maybe 2 now we're looking at. Time flies with all these changes. I can never keep track, but it's a big part of the game. Free throws are the only shot in basketball that doesn't change, and players we're taking advantage of that, knowing how the game is called, and that's how you do it. You look at the rules and say, how do we take advantage of this? That's how it goes in any game. So again, if you're at a bar and you hear your friends talking about like, oh, that guy's a baby, what? Just get up. Why? I could take a hit from Giannis with that shoulder blast that feels like a fucking shotgun to the chest. I could do that and not get knocked down. What a pussy this guy is. You tell that guy he's a fucking idiot, and you also tell him this. If a flopping penalty is assessed by game officials, the opposing team will be awarded 1 free throw attempt. So that means it is a technical foul now. A player who commits a flop will be charged with a non-unsportsmanlike technical foul. So it's still a tech, but it's not one that will get you ejected. A player will not be ejected from a game based on flopping violations. So essentially, you can flop as much as you want, but the teams can take advantage of that and shoot free throws because of that violation happening. Now, in terms of game flow, this is an issue with rules. We talked about it with the challenge just a minute ago. Officials will not be required to stop live play to call a flopping violation. They can wait until the next neutral opportunity to stop play. We saw that a couple times on Wednesday night with Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis. Couple flops, they let the play go, kind of like a delayed penalty in hockey, sort of, and then the dead ball comes and beep, whistle blows, tech, and then sometimes I was watching and I was like, oh, I forgot he even did that a second ago. So it's a lot like the stepping on the line for a 3, stepping out of bounds, and, like a delayed penalty kind of thing where they don't make an assessment, they don't make a judgment of it right away, they just make a note of it, and then once the play is dead on the next time for a natural, more favorable game flow, that's when they'll make the assessment of who gets that. Now, I also want to talk about the rule change that is in place for games played for 23 and 24. Now, of course, we all know the legend of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and sometimes other guys, but most of the time those are the two primary guys that everybody talks about when we talk about these things. But here's what I love about Adam Silver. And when this rule came down, I was very pumped about it because I want to see the best players play. That's how it goes. That's how the fans want to see this. I'm not rooting for injury. If I go to a Magic game and it's a Sunday, which, a lot of times when I go to Magic games, they are on a Sunday. That's just how it happens. And it's a Sunday and the other, LA's on the road and I go in there and all of a sudden I see, Kawhi's not going to play today. I'd be pissed, man. Of course, it's a better opportunity for us to win the game, but I don't really care about that when I'm in the game. I want to see the best players play. At the end of the day, I'm a fan of the league itself as well. I want everybody to succeed, except for one. We all know this. But at the end of the day, you want to see the best guys play. And at the ticket prices with what they're at right now, yeah, they sure as shit should be playing. I mean, I don't want to play fucking 40 minutes to go see Amir Coffey play and Terrence Mann and those guys. No disrespect, but if I'm going to pay money to go see the Clippers play, I want to see Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I don't give a fuck about those other guys. As a fan, I want to see that. I want to see the generational talent. I want to see the guys that are driving the ticket prices up. So here's the rule change as it states on Bleacher Report. Players must now play in 65 games to qualify for certain regular season awards. So that includes MVP, All Defense, All NBA. And the NBA can now fine teams for sitting stars for rest purposes during nationally televised games. That's huge. That's a big win for the fans. The league can also institute punishments for teams that sit multiple stars in any game. So essentially what's going on here is that they are cracking down on the guys that are just like, nah, load management, I need to rest. And to me, pretty generous. 65 games. That's 17 games missed in an 82-game season. Now, we don't play every day. We don't play 162 like baseball does. We don't play in an extremely physical environment like football or hockey. I mean, basketball still is a physical game, of course, but 17 games missed, I think, is pretty generous. If you have a serious lingering injury, or a torn ligament, or a surgery, or something that seems to just never go away and is actually allowing you or not allowing you to perform at your highest level and for you to get smoked on defense and not be a viable option on offense, then rest, sit down, don't play. But I think what this is cracking down on is not so much the injuries and the tweaks and the tears or tears not a tweak, a strain, a pull, spasm, anything like that. Those have to be like legit for you to not play because at the end of the day, the guys that were playing 20, 30 years ago did not have the medical staff. They didn't have the first class flights. They didn't have the training techniques. They didn't have the medical proficiency that they do now. And it seems like now that we have more, there's more players being injured. And it's a shame because it is crushing the integrity of the league when we don't have our stars playing just on the sheer basis of, hey, maybe we'll get to the playoffs, so I need to rest. I'm tired, And that sure, I'm not discounting anybody that says they're hurt when they're really not. But if you're going to a game and you're paying the price of a ticket that is driven up by the stars that are playing in that game, you want to see those stars play. So let's fix what we have wrong with this league. Let's attack it. What are the 3 big things? And let's do it. And I think that Adam Silver did just that. The 3 biggest things for me every year was always the people that were sitting down. It was always the flopping and the jumping in and creating contact and just trying to sell fouls. That's a big part of the game that a lot of people hate. And guess what? It's gone now. So fuck you, idiots that think that everything is wrong with that game. It's not. It's actually a beautiful game if you see all the intricacies and the ins and outs of it. It's great. And the other thing that was big was the East-West All-Star. I think that's a huge rule change. I think that's going to benefit a lot of people. A lot of fans are going to be more into it. It's going to be easier to track and easier to remember. Like, oh yeah, he's on this team because he's in this part of the country. Unless it's New Orleans and you're like, why are they playing in the West? But it's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's definitely something to look out for. Rule changes are going to be a little bit more difficult to kind of understand in the beginning. I think it's going to catch a lot of us by surprise with these dead ball technical fouls all of a sudden. But yeah, all in all, I think the league is in great hands. We have a lot of young talent, a lot of generational talent is on the way out. But by that, that being said, a lot of generational talent is on their way in and up the ladder of fame and success in the NBA. So I'm excited. I think we got a great league. I think Adam Silver is a great commissioner. I think these are all great ideas. Having Joe Dumars at his side, I think, is also a big benefit and something that they talked on a lot during during recent press conferences is getting back to basketball, and I think that's an appropriate way to look at it. We're not here for social media content. We're not here for the flash and the fame and the fortune. A lot of these guys just want to get out there and fucking play basketball, and I think that the people that are at the top of the food chain in the NBA are those guys: Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic. Obviously, 3 foreign players. Much different here in the States, but those guys just want to play basketball and they want to win. They don't give a fuck about all the social media nonsense that takes place during All-Star Weekend and Media Day and all that bullshit. Nobody wants to do that. It's becoming less and less of a thing. So I think there is a happy medium of finding the benefits of social media versus making it too social media based for people. But I think that these rules favor the old heads of basketball that are complaining about what the game is doing now. And it's going to change some things for some players that have already implemented habits in their games that are probably not the best and that could be they could take a hit from these rules that are now being implemented. So I'm excited. I think the league, again, great. It's in a great place. And we are on the way up. So I'm excited to see what this season brings with all these new changes. Let me know what you think. What's your favorite rule change? Did I miss any? And what do you want to see different about the league going forward? Let us know in the comments. Thank you guys again for listening. Tell your friends we're brand new here. Just shooting the shit, talking some hoops. So, I appreciate you guys listening. We will see you next time. Good night. Game Blouses.
Game Blouses.